everyone, and welcome to another episode of Life with Lily. And today we are going to be talking about tarot techniques and how to find a good tarot reader, maybe what are some signs of ones that maybe a little shady and stuff like that. And I can't think of anyone else I'd rather talk about this with than my personal tarot reader, Nikki Foster. And we're going to bop her up. Hey, girl, hey.
How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me and inviting me to this.
Wonderful. So can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey through the tarot?
Oh, absolutely. So I've been reading tarot for about just almost like 5 years, just a few years professionally. I started out reading oracle cards and did a deep dive into that, like a 9-month intensive with Colette Baron Reed. So, but yeah, it's just been a fascinating journey. So, and I thoroughly enjoy it. There's just so much to it.
Awesome. It's a lot of, and tarot is a lot about reading for other people, but it's also about like self-exploration. Like as we read tarot, we learn to read for ourselves too. And stuff, and learn like what the blind spots are. So when people are like, oh, you read tarot, it's like, yes, and I learned a lot about myself, because not all tarot decks are not all of them are friendly, which is
no, they are not.
It's whatever you need. So with the discussion about tarot decks, I want to jump into the heavy stuff right away, because why would we hold punches? No. Right. So is all tarot created equal?
No. Definitely not. No, there's even like different systems of tarot. So the Rider-Waite system, the Thoth, the Marseille, and then within each of those systems, there's so many different cards, decks, creatives, and it just it's just huge and varied. Yeah.
It's huge and complex and diverse, and everything means different things. So you had mentioned like the Rider-Waite and Marseille and everything. And so those are different styles of decks. And then there are many different interpretations of them. So like I have the Gilded Tarot by Chiro, and that's based off the Rider-Waite. So that's where the fuck is my camera? Well, I can do this. That's what that looks like. The traditional Rider-Waite. I do not have my traditional Rider-Waite deck with me, because that is my travel one that stays in my purse in case I need to do a reading on the fly. And so like there are lots of different styles of decks, but then there are also different energies to every deck. So like for me, there are certain decks that are like very pagan and witchy, or self-discovery, or a lot of whimsical feeling. I had a colleague who had a deck that was the Happy Puppy, and it was pick me, I want to make you happy, let's do it. And it was amazing. And so all decks have a different energy. And I never tell clients what deck like they're picking until after they pick. If they ask, then I'll be like, oh yeah, you picked a deck about like more witchy or more pagan or more ethereal or something like that. But so there are lots of different techniques. And you have a very unique, I would say one of a kind way of reading. Can you go into that a little bit? Because I know you can explain it better than me.
Oh, absolutely. So I read with the deck. It's simply called the Transparent Tarot. And it's produced on like clear plastic, if you will. So you can overlay the cards. You can stack the cards up, or you can read them as a storyboard. You can lay them out as a film strip and read them left to right, up, down, and on top of each other. But when you stack them, they come alive, and they tell their own story, and they make their own images, and it's magical and fascinating, and I found to be on point almost every single time.
Definitely. And the way when people ask like, okay, what's different about Nikki's reading? Because I have had to explain, because yours aren't like my decks. I have several of my decks right next to me, and so it's like they're all solid. They're all no see-through.
No see-through.
So it's a very unique way of reading. And I always tell people, okay, so imagine that you're having a tarot reading and you ask Nikki a question. she's not going to lay out cards. She'll layer them on top of each other to make a scene. And then she reads the scene, and then the next scene, and then the next scene. So you're not reading a card, you're reading a combination that creates a reality. And I was always like, I liked that. I liked having that option, that way of reading. I really resonated. I could never read that way, but I love that you do, because then I can come see you.
Yes, and what I love about it too, and I know when I like explain it at events as well, it doing it this way allows us to go deeper, faster, like on a quicker level, instead of like, you know, a half hour into the reading, now we're getting to the root of the problem. So basically what I'll do is, it's typically a 5-card spread, but by the time we're done, we're reading 15 cards at once. And then if we'll break it out individually too. So then we've got those 15 cards on a grid format even, and then we can start reading diagonally up and down and backwards too, to kind of, if we need to go that route as well. So there's just so much to a simple 5-card reading with these cards.
Yes, definitely. So I really like that. And I like that there's so much, like we were talking about, diversity in tarot, that there are different ways of reading. And like you said, there's like a 5-card spread. And I know that your 5-card spread, because the cards are then stacked, so it's really a 15-card spread, go straight across, right?
Yes. Typically.
Most of the time, to my recollection, go straight across.
Most of the time. Yeah, sometimes there are intuitively it'll be read differently, but for the most part, that's how I approach it, and that's how the cards will go on the table.
Yeah, and so for me, a 15-card spread is up and down. So it'll be 2 up, and then the peak, and then 2 down. And then I read it as the first card is the beginning point, the middle card is the turning point, the last card is the ending point, and read it that way. So there are different, even with 5-card spreads that are considered to be simple, it's like there are different ways to do it. And the thing that popped into my head is super judgy, so I kind of want to go there next. So here's a question. As a professional tarot reader, do you get tarot readings from other people?
I do. Absolutely, I do. Because there's information I need to know as well. I mean, I do read for myself, but other people's energies, their perspectives, and their gifts and talents are always amazing too, and add a different perspective and a different facet to my life. So
yes, and I would agree, because we can always read for ourselves, and I would say most, if not all, tarot readers start with reading for themselves and, you know, friends, and then they go professional or do training. But it's also, no matter what, no matter how badass bitch you are, no matter how amazing you are, we all have blind spots.
Yes, we do.
Cannot see something that is this close to our face, and we need someone else to point it out. And that's when you go to tarot and you go, I remember I went to a lovely person named Siri, and I was working on buying my house, and I was crying at like every house showing. I could not make it work. I was so upset. And I went and had a reading with her, and she was so gently blunt. That's like, and this is how you fuck up. And she's like picking up the cards, and this is what you need to do better. And this is the people you need in your life to make. And she just laid it out. And then within a few months, I had my house and was doing the closing and everything. And I'm like, okay, I just needed, because I was like, I'm doing dowsing rods and crystals and tarot, and I could not figure it out. And then she's just like, yeah, you bless your heart type thing. Like, I'm well aware it's jacked up at this point. Thank you. So it's we get perspective from other readers. And what I always tell people about events, and I don't know if you you tell people this too, Nikki, so you can always have your favorites. So as I've said, Nikki is one of my favorites. She is who I go see on a regular basis. And you should always go and see other people. You should never stick to like one, and this is the only one type thing. Like, you should get your favorites on a regular basis and then sprinkle in some new ones once or twice a year when you're at events, and you can do a 15-minute reading type thing. And so how do you feel about that, Nikki?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Because it's always interesting, the information that we don't pick up on that others do pick up on. Yeah, and it's always so insightful.
Yes, definitely. And you learn about yourself while you're getting a reading from somebody else, not just by the reading, but also like their techniques. And for me, one of my huge pet peeves, and it's on the discussion points. I have my trusty paper, everybody, that I constantly look down at to make sure that I don't get too excited and ramble. Because y'all know I do that. But one of the things that is on the list to talk about is what are good signs and maybe not so good signs of choosing a tarot reader and having a tarot reader. And so when you go to tarot readers as a tarot reader or as just an attendee or a client, you learn like the style that you like and don't like. So what are some things that you really like in a tarot reader?
I like integrity. I like respect.
Mm-hmm.
I like so like their knowledge base, if you will, not just how well they know the cards, but how well they know themselves. Their fluency and their comfortability. I'm making up words now. Like how comfortable they are with their skill set and the cards that they have. I think that that's important. And I think that's a really good sign of a really good reader. Like they could just be reading, for, it could be their very first event. It could be their very first professional reading. But as long as they have the cards that they've chosen and the gifts that they know and that they're working with that, it's the most amazing reading ever.
Yes, I would agree. Like I like integrity. I like honesty.
Yes.
And I like when a reader knows how their delivery of it. Because some people need blunt, and sometimes the cards are just blunt. We don't get to choose what the cards say. We just get to like tell you. But it's if you're dealing with someone who is super fragile and then your delivery is so blunt that it's making them cry, it's like, that to me is a big warning sign. So I like when their delivery matches the needs of the client. And so to me, that's huge. I like their expertise, but I like expertise in everything that I go to as a client. I'm like, oh, that's nice. You're playing at this. No, thank you. I like when it's like, oh, and expertise, yes, comes with time. But I've been to readers who've been doing this for a few decades, and I'm like, okay.
Yes. There's that too.
I've been to readers who've been doing it. They're like, oh God, I started this year. And I'm like, you're fabulous. Look at that raw talent. Yes. I love it. Because it's just their authentic self and their gifts coming out, and the cards are just their tool. It's beautiful. And so I like that. So it's not, expertise isn't just time. So if you're just starting, you're like, well, I'm going to suck until it's a few decades. No, you can be a rock star in your first year if you really utilize your own gifts and use the tarot as a tool type thing.
Absolutely.
So I like those things about a reader. And like, as far as technique, there are so many different ones. And I always tell people, unless you're following like a strict religion or belief system where you have to follow rules, go with what works for you. And so a lot of people, it's like, oh, you cut into 3 piles and you sort it this way, or you have to shuffle this way, or the other person has to touch the cards, or it's whatever works for you. Because I saw Tracy at the Minneapolis. I got a reading from her recently. Fabulous woman. And the way she cut her deck, I was like, Bish is fancy. I loved it. I had never cut it into 3 piles like me, but then the way she stacked them was intricate. And I was like, I have never seen that before. And she blew on her cards in between each shuffle, blew on them. And I was like, that is beautiful. It is not a technique for me, but I loved seeing that technique. And so there are different techniques to how you shuffle. So my cards, I don't let people touch. And it's not like no one can touch them. It is actually because I used to have people touch my cards when I worked at a wellness center. And this human took the deck, and I'm not going to do it because I love my cards, and bent and bent and bent and just went at him. And I was like, oh, And I was sitting there going,
No.
be professional, don't smack her, be professional, don't cry,
Oh,
don't scream. It was so hard. And after that, I'm like, I'm never letting anyone touch my cards again. Because some people do shuffle them by bending them a lot. And I'm like, they are, like, as much as they're magical, they're still paper.
they're
Like
still paper. Yes.
paper.
Yes.
So when you bend them like that, it's like, okay, you are obviously thinking that this is like the movies where nothing's going to get damaged ever, and you're not going to leave a card like bent like that. You would.
No. No.
So I don't have people touch my cards. Other people, it's like, oh, they have someone shuffle the deck until they're comfortable. So then, like, how do I get people's energy on the cards? Well, I extend their energy, and we do it through like setting up the sacred space, mingling our energies, that type of thing. They don't have to physically touch the cards, because we can always do virtual and they don't touch the cards either. So like, Nikki, I honestly don't remember. Do you? I don't think you have people shuffle. Do you? I can't remember. Do you?
I do not, because my card, even me shuffling the cards, like they tend to go everywhere. So you have to be really careful and mindful, paying attention when you're shuffling them, because it's a slow, easy shuffle. Otherwise, I've had them fly across the room and try to pick up transparent cards off of a dark carpet. Has been very interesting when you're on your hands and knees in front of a client. It's not cool. So, but I always leave. So it is an energetic space, and I do hold space for my clients, right? As we're sitting there, and it's very intentional. It's very beautiful. At the end, I always like to leave people with a final blessing, and I've got a special little angel deck for that. And I will shuffle those myself, and I will fan them out, and I will have them physically, just pick one out of the fan.
Yeah.
To read. So, yeah, but that's the only time I have them touch a card.
Yeah. And I know that for a lot of people, a lot of professionals, the way they did it changed once the pandemic happened. Like, I had several colleagues who they would pick a deck, have the person shuffle, touch them and everything. And then once the pandemic happened, all of us had to be, don't touch my cards. Nope.
Yes.
There is no need for you to touch anything on this table. No.
Yes. No.
And it was just health and safety for everybody. And so it did change a lot. I feel like a lot of readers' techniques had to change on the fly for that.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't have people touch my cards just because of like the bending thing. I've had too many people like bend my cards, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, no.
To me, and I get, this is so bitchy. To me, it's a big sign of disrespect if you're gonna mess with someone's sacred tool that way. That you're like, you don't have to be like, move one card and then move one card. It doesn't have to be that, but you can shuffle without bending the card, or you can do it on the table without bending them. But when you shuffle them like a playing card deck, like a dollar store playing card, it's like,
no. I know. Your heart sinks.
It's so discourteous, but you're also going to damage the card for like the next person. I have in my Chiro deck, my Gilded Tarot, the Two of Wands, I creased it like an idiot because I was doing a meditation a day with each card, and I had it with me, and I had it in a big flowy jacket like I always wear. And then I like sat down on a couch and I didn't take it out of the pocket. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, oh shit, I got to take everything out of my pockets. And the card was creased, and I'm like,
oh
shit. So I'm highly aware that these cards can be like damaged, and it does like, oh, see, look, I just grabbed the deck and it went to that card that has the crease. And so it gets touched a lot more because it's disfigured. It comes up. So yeah, it's just something to be aware of and everything. So that's a big one for me. As far as like negatives or things to steer away from, and a lot of things you can't see at face, like you don't know someone's a good or bad reader or technique until you have a reading from them. Correct, Nikki? Like, how do you feel? You can like walk up and go, that bitch is wearing purple. No, it's not like that.
You pretty much have to put your judgments at the door, and you don't know until you sit down and after they're reading the cards even. I've had people they've been highly recommended to me, and I've gone to them for a reading, and the reading was flat. It didn't resonate.
Yep.
Or, you know, they talk right over you. They don't listen to you. Like, there's just a whole bunch of like different things. And I've had, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had people come to me that were recommended to me, and that reading felt like I even felt it. Like I knew it was a flat reading. I'm like, and I apologized, and I'm like, oh, we can do that. We can try again on a different day.
Yeah.
Like, something's just off. And you know, that could be part of it too. But I think once you sit down and that sacred space and the energies, you know, are they talking over you? Are they holding space for you? The delivery, like what you said earlier.
Yeah.
The delivery. How are they treating you? How are they talking to you?
Yep. And it's also how are they respecting you? Like,
yes.
If we're being honest, a lot of people do not get tarot readings. What am I going to have for dinner tonight? A lot of people, it's how can I heal from my childhood abuse? How do I get this job? What are my insecurities telling me? What past life trauma do I need to work on? It's tough questions. And if you have a reader who's just, really, that's what you want to work on? Your love life? Oh, I just paid you. Work on what I want to work on. Whether the reader wants to work on it or not, it is about the client. And so to me, that's another big one. It's like, are they judging anything that I say? Because some topics are very sensitive and need to be treated a certain way. So like their delivery and everything, like we discussed. Another one for me is, if you know tarot, each card has a meaning, basically. Like the Two of Wands means something. The Queen of, I was going to say the Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Cups. It means something. It's been a long day. And so I always have a hard time when I'm getting a reading from somebody and they say, cards flip up and they're like, this is what this card means. And they give me literally like the textbook definition. And then they flip the next card. This is what this card means. And I'm like, but what does it mean pertaining to me specifically in this moment with this question that I asked and the position of the spread you put it in? What's that mean? And so for me, that's a huge flag that I don't want to see them again. If it's like, well, this is what this card means. It's like, I've read the same books you've read. I know that that's just what that card means generally. It has nothing, you know what I mean? Does that make, I feel like I'm not making sense. Am I making sense?
No. You make total sense. And I call that like fluency, right? Like, so
I like that
the cards have the text. Yeah, they have the textbook meaning, but intuitively for you or for this question, this is how this pertains. But even like the cards are interacting amongst themselves and they're telling the answers, right? They're providing insight. So, but is that reader able to read that insight and deliver that message clearly to you? Are they able to communicate that and relay that back to you?
Yes, because
a lot of them can't. They don't read the string.
Yep. And it's like a Two of Wands at the beginning of a reading versus the end of the spread is different. And so people are like, oh no, it means the same thing. I'm like, no, if I'm telling you a problem and it comes up at the beginning, it means something. If it comes up at the end, it means something very different. Even though the card has the same meaning, it's
and that's a good
point.
Yes. But there's also the position, like the layout that they're using. So each layout also has its own meaning. So the Two of Wands at the beginning versus the Two of Wands as the outcome, you know, is that last card the outcome card, or is that the next step card? You know what I mean? Like that. So that is completely different than what you started with. You know, it just depends on. No, I'm not communicating right. What the meaning of the positions of the cards are, along with the meaning of the card and the cards beside them.
Definitely. And talking about spreads. So a spread is the layout, the positioning of the cards. When you ask a question, you can do different spreads. For those of you who are watching and don't know. So there are lots of different spreads. And for me, one of the things, I had someone that I went to years ago, like in my early 20s, and they did the same spread for every question. And I was like, I didn't like that because it just, after seeing them several times, I was like, this is not getting the result I want. They're only doing this one spread. So that to me is another like, I wouldn't go to them on a regular basis. And there are certain practitioners who specialize in a spread, and I in no way want to discredit them. There is in the Twin Cities, and I cannot remember their name, I am so sorry. Excuse me. Yay for allergies, let me tell you what. A reader who only does the Celtic cross, and they specialize in it, and they are amazing. And again, I cannot remember their name, I'm so sorry. But and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. You have, just like you only use the transparency deck, you have a specialty that you are an expert in and that people seek you out for. So I think that's great. When a reader just rests on it though, like, oh, this is the only thing they can do, and they're like limiting themselves, that's where I get like, oh, maybe that's not. But for certain questions, there are spreads that you do, like either or. Obviously there has to be 2 or 3 options. If you just did one big bulk one, it'd be like, well, not really getting much out of that, are you? No. Right. So I would like to talk about a really uncomfortable topic: pricing. So
okay.
Everyone is priced differently. And what's a good price point? I have a lot of opinions about this. I'll let you go first before I just monopolize this one.
Well, thank you for this most uncomfortable conversation and topic.
Yes.
I don't know. So this is something that I struggle with. I won't lie. I tend to go with what's comparable and competitive. I don't want to overprice myself by any means. Mm-hmm. I don't want to underprice myself either. So I found a price point that I'm comfortable with the readings that I give and the services that I provide. And I feel it's very comparable to other readers and the work that they do. So, but it took a long time for me to get to that level of comfort and being good with what I'm offering.
Yes, I would agree. When anyone starts out, they're like, oh God, I don't want to charge too much, or I don't have the expertise to charge that. We all go through that phase. And if you're going through that phase, don't worry, keep going. You're going to get there. It's going to be okay. And it's important, like you said, to be comparable. Look at the different prices around. So I had someone ask, like on social media, why do you charge $45 for your classes? And I said, because that's what in the Twin Cities you charge for a 2-hour workshop. And that is, if it's not a community education class where you're like donating it to the community, that's what you charge. It's anywhere from $45 to $75 for a 2-hour workshop. And they were like, that's a lot of money. I'm like, yep. And that's the average of the Twin Cities. My hourly rate is the average of the Twin Cities. I know people who charge a little bit less or a little bit more. Whenever people, don't be that person that gets uppity about the price. You're going to a professional. You don't haggle the dentist, just the way it is. And if someone's priced super low from the average, usually that means they're not confident in themselves, they're new. A lot of people will take that as a red flag. And so if you're like, oh, I'm going to charge less because I'm so nice, because I did that when I was in my late teens and early 20s. I'm like, I want everyone to be able to afford this no matter their tax bracket. I'm going to charge this. And that was not the right idea. Charging what I charge now, I get so many more clients than I did charging, because I had one of my tarot teachers actually tell me, no one's going to take you seriously at that price point. You got nothing. And I was like, okay, good to know. And so doing the average of where you are is usually a safe bet. Understanding that at events, we don't always get to choose what the price is. So on average, and I know because I had to talk to my mom about this, I was like, well, for me, it's 15 minutes for $40. And that is the average of the Twin Cities. for anyone, for a Reiki, for an event, that type of thing. That's the average, a little bit more, a little bit less. And she was like, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, well,
it's what it is.
It's a lot of expertise. That's what it is. It's a lot of effort going into 15 minutes. I'm going to be your rock star for 15 minutes. Like, I earn it. And so does every other reader.
Yes.
And so it's just something to be aware of with some of this stuff. And so
well, again, there's a lot of training. There's a lot of classes and workshops, card decks. There's a lot involved on our end too, going into it as well.
Yes.
And the 15-minute read is not, I mean, it's not easy.
No, because a lot of times it's a longer reading that we talk very fast. And so we try to condense as much into that 15 minutes. And most of us can do it. Like, if you get me, I asked my friend Bam, God bless that, my sacrificial lamb that she is. I was at her house meeting the new dog Coleman, which, yes, just tongue lolling out, just cutest little old man dog ever. I love it. And I said, okay, I brought one of my decks. I want to do like a dry run with you because I know I talk really fast. I want to know if I'm talking too fast and you'll tell me. So we did a full reading with add-on questions in 7 minutes. So if people are like, oh my gosh, 15 minutes isn't enough time, or you're charging too much for 15 minutes, you're not. You can get a full reading in a certain amount of time if you talk fast enough. And most of us do. We want you to get everything you can out of it, not because it's like, oh, get bang for your buck. We want to help you. And so we're going to give you our everything for that 15 minutes.
Well, and I know from and I know that you're the same way, and most everybody else is too, but you want your client, the person that you just read for, to walk away empowered as well, so that they have the answers or the guidance that they were seeking, but they also have steps, like actionable things, or a knowledge, that they're also walking away with something that's helpful and meaningful.
Yes, it's not just an answer. So for a lot of people, it's, am I going to graduate college? I can pull one card and say yes or no, but what do you need to do? Do you need to rest more so that your brain can function better before a test? Do you need to study more? Are you supposed to be studying with other people? Like, those are the cards we pull for that, just that example. And for a lot of people, they're just like, that's what goes into a question. Like, we can just give you an outcome, but we want to give you more than that. I had a friend who was like, she had to do this training and then like test before she got the job. And like, it was a good job. It wasn't like, barista or something. It was like something that you needed the education for. Does that make sense? Before they could like commit, she had to like get certified. And she asked, am I going to pass? And I said, yes. And you are not going to hang out with anyone for 3 days. You are going to add, there's a cat.
Sorry. There's a kitty. See,
I got distracted with your fur baby. I got distracted by the fur baby. As you all know, that is something that will distract me every time. If you ever want to stop a conversation, just like hold up a picture of a cat and like make it walk across my screen. I'll be like, what? Are we talking about animals now? That'd be great. And so, yes, sorry. With my friend, I had said, you're going to have to study at least 6 more hours. You're not going to hang out with friends for 3 days, because she had plans to like go out with her boyfriend and stuff. And I was like, not anymore. And she did the action steps. And then she messaged me like, I passed. And then she said, I knew that I wouldn't have if I would have like spent, a day and a half with my boyfriend. And so it's that kind of things that we want you to walk away with. And that's like, oh yeah, are you going to pass? And then you're like, I didn't pass. It's like, oh shit, I should have given you some steps.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Little hints as to what you should be doing type thing. So I'm just looking down and seeing, here's a question that a lot of people, it's super easy for us, but it's super hard for people who are just starting. So we talked about at the beginning, Rider-Waite, Marseille, Thoth, those types of decks. Now, what is the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck? Again, this is easy for us to answer, but the general public, they're like, it's a deck of magic cards. And they are different. I'm not throwing shade on anybody. They are magical and beautiful and everything like that. So
yes.
What do you see as the differences?
Okay, so the tarot decks are a structured system. Yes. Right? There's a standard 78 cards. There's the 22 major arcanas. There's the minor arcanas, and the cards, they have, they mean what they mean. They have meanings. Oracle cards are decks created by intuitive, insightful, creative, artistic people with intentions. They're not structured. Mm-hmm. The cards don't always mean the same thing. There's typically a guidebook to help you through it. There's some words on there, and there's usually, beautiful imagery. I mean, the decks are beautiful. And when you find an oracle deck that speaks to you, that you resonate with, that you really like, it's quite magical. It will give you answers as well, and it will help you. I call them therapy in a box. They're great. But it's not a structured deck. It doesn't give you all the facets that the tarot does.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I like the way you worded it, because the way I was going to word it was so much more abstract. So tarot is a symphony. A violin is a violin is a violin. The oboe does not play the violin part. Everything has its place, and all cards have 4 suits. Like you said, all cards have a major and minor arcana. All cards. And then the oracle deck is a rave. It is do what you want, when you want, have as much fun as you want. It is as abstract, out of the box. I've seen plants and crystals and fae and angel. Like, the oracle decks are on any subject you want, and it can have any number of cards you want. Most of them have 30 or more. Most of them are just like 12. It's a deck of cards still. But yeah, like I have two different crystal oracle decks that I use with some people. I thought about that. I'm like, yep, I still got tons of decks. And that they're very different than the tarot, and neither is more valid than the other. I want to be clear on that, because a lot of people are like, oh, tarot's better because it has structure, or oracle's better because it uses more intuition. Whichever one you work with, honor it. It's fine. Don't
this is gonna sound crazy, so I'm totally woo-wooing out there. Some of the decks will speak to me, they nudge me and things like that. I've combined a tarot deck and an oracle deck. So I've got this huge master monster size deck that I work with, and it's quite amazing. And it gives me a whole different level of goodness. So.
Yes. See, then there are people like Nikki who just throw the whole stuff out the window, and it's like, I'm going to make magic. And it's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's powerful, but it involves no classic rules. And that's absolutely fine too, if that's how you roll. Absolutely fine. So yeah, that's the difference between tarot and oracle, basically. And then I want to talk about, so I have a little story, and then I'm going to ask your opinion. Okay. So I, years ago, had to do something that you guys may not know, is that when you work for certain businesses, you may have to audition to prove that you are not a wackadoo or not good at your craft, or that you're not ethical. You have to prove yourself. And this is fine. This is normal. If you find it offensive, then you won't be working at these places, and that's fine. But I had to audition, and I went through the auditioning process and the vetting process to make sure that I wasn't a wackadoo. And on the last audition, the last vetting one, I think I went through like 3 cycles. It was asked, oh no, it was fine. I loved it. Like, once you realize that you're not reading for your boss, you're just reading for another client, You do so well. That first one, I treated it like an interview, and I just sucked ass.
Yeah.
It was so bad. But once I went in and was like, I am the expert, you are my client. It doesn't matter that your name's going to be on my checks. You know, the signature is going to be down at the bottom. No, it matters that I have the wisdom and I want to share it with you.
Yes.
Once I did it that way, I was fine. But I did it, and they asked, where did you get your training? And I told them my trainings, my pedigree, everything like that. And then they said, you pull the Tower card. What does it mean? And I said, well, it can be a very difficult card for people. A lot of times it means the universe is going to set your life on fire. And whatever is left is the shit you were meant to keep. But you may have been really attached to that ugly couch. And that's just the way it is. And they had said, good, because there are certain instructors in the Twin Cities who were teaching it very differently. And that was actually one of the deal breakers, was that if I was trained by certain people, I wouldn't get the job because the training was so bad. It was so awful what actual tarot was. So if you pull the tarot card, or the tarot, if you pull the Tower card,
the whole deck,
it means you're cursed. Someone has cursed you and you're royally fucked. There is not one bad card in the deck. There are some, like, have you seen the Ten of Swords? That is just knives in the back. And that's anything that is negative can be a warning, can be a lesson. It is something you can actively use to make your life better and possibly get what you want. And so having there be a structure out there in the Twin Cities where it's like, oh no, this means you're cursed and you're fucked and there's nothing you can do about it and your life is ruined. I was like, no. I mean, if you pull the Devil card, you may have some problems with addiction or impulse control, or you may have a giant ego and you're a prick. Or it may be that type of archetype is coming into your life. It can mean a lot of different things, but none of them are inherently bad, evil. Death does not mean someone is dying. Can it?
Yes.
Yes. And what death actually means is transformation, transition, change. That's it.
Yep.
That's all it means. And yes, that can mean physical death. Most of the time it doesn't. And so that for me is how I feel. And like, that's my little story. Like that is some serious teaching that is going on that I do not agree with at all. And I do not believe that's how the tarot should be used. So do you believe that there are any inherently bad, evil cards? I love that.
No. Okay. So I know I mentioned earlier I started out reading oracle cards, and they I deliberately and intentionally stayed away from tarot because it did have what I perceived as evil cards, as scary cards, as bad cards, and I did not resonate. I did not like the images on some of these cards, the Devil card and some of the other ones. And I'm like, nope, I don't do that. I'm strictly light. I'm strictly angels. I'm strictly love. I'm strictly beauty and grace, right?
Yeah.
So, and those are the oracle cards that I would read. And I'm like, okay. And then as I was putting myself out there and meeting colleagues and peers and other reading professionals, I don't do tarot. You know, that was my stick. I don't do tarot. I don't read tarot. And they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, because they're scary cards. Well, then it became quite apparent that I sounded pretty ignorant. And I was, because I didn't know. I didn't know what the cards mean. So just to educate myself, and there happened to be a workshop in the Twin Cities, I signed up for it. I obviously did not have the same instructor you had, because this woman was amazing. She took us through the hero's journey through each of the major arcana cards and explained them, and just how these are real life situations. And this is the experience that we all go through, the human experience. And these are the facets. And then the minor arcana and how that supports, you know, those are the daily aspects. And these are the overarching major themes in life. And I'm like, whoa. And from that, I walked out of that workshop with my eyes wide open and just fascinated and in love with tarot. And I never looked back.
Yes. See, I love that. And for me, so my first experience with tarot, I want to be clear that wackadoo was not my teacher. But when I did the audition, they had to make sure that that wackadoo wasn't my teacher so that I wasn't putting, like, negativity into their business. I get that. So I actually started tarot years and years and years ago when I was very young, before wrinkles.
You have no wrinkles? No wrinkles.
I have no wrinkles with this professional light on me. I have wrinkles in real life.
No.
Makeup is magical. And I did it, and I got a deck that, like, I thought I was drawn to. And I was one of the beta testers for this tarot book that was coming out that one of my colleagues was writing. And I did it, and I was so uncomfortable and just thought it was awful. And it was this deck. It was like the Angels Tarot, and I don't think that's actually the real name, but it was all angels, but it was not like angels. It was like angel.
Yes.
And creepy and just dark and gray. And it was depressing. And so remember how I said every deck has a feeling. And to start with a deck that's literal energy was life is shit, get to know this. Every single spread I did when I first started was, this is the absolute worst outcome that could happen. These are the worst characteristics that you have. It was so hard to
Lily.
and that was not a good one to start with. So I actually put tarot aside for years. I was like, if this is what it is, I do not like it. I do not want it. And I didn't get another deck for a long ass time. And then I found Chiro and the Gilded Tarot, and I was like, it's whimsical, it's Cirque du Soleil, it's amazing. I'll learn on this. And it is. It's a happy deck. And so now I have happy decks like the Gilded Tarot and Witches Tarot. And then I just got the Cat Tarot, the Pagan Cat Tarot.
Yes.
And got this. Ooh, there's my is because I do readings for children, and there are several cards that are not kid friendly. There are the lovers, there are swords stabbing people and hearts, and I realized that just wasn't kid friendly, and so I got, it's just a bunch of cats now, and so that's
I love it.
I finally got Heaven and Earth Tarot, again from the Eye in Minneapolis. I love them for my tarot decks, but it is very dark colors, which is very different than all my fucking Cirque du Soleil shit. Very different, very different. But it was my first darker deck since, and this one I like so much more because I feel like it's, you know, that weird uncle or grandpa who went to war and who just tells you the honest truth, but they also, like, it's honest. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just, you will get hurt. What? It's like, yes, in life you will get hurt. It will not be perfect. Deal with it. It was more that it wasn't life is shit, get to know this. It was like, let me be honest with you. And so I liked the energy of that. And so I wanted to get it, and I did. So that is my darker deck that I have. And I'm sure eventually I will get many more decks. Oh, that is a question. So I know a lot of people, a lot of women, it's with like purses or shoes. Can you ever have too many decks?
No. I've got a couple hundred floating around here.
They just, and each deck has a different like feeling. And so sometimes you want hard honesty. Sometimes you want it to be whimsical. Sometimes you want self-discovery. But then also with that, so I agree with Nikki. You can never have too many. Some of them are just for collections. Like they're anticipated for collections. Some of them, and I'll pull it off the table right here because I know I have it. This is the Fenestra deck. My mom got it as a gift. Ooh, I need to dust. That was, I'm acutely aware of the dust in my house now. All right. So, that deck is reserved. I don't use it for anything else except spell casting. And so that's why it's on that table and there's dust on it, is because my altar, my spell altar is right to the side of me. And that spell's been cooking for like a year.
Nice.
It's like, it's got 4 steps. And so it takes several months for each step. So it's going on like a year of me having the spell set up. And I'm just realizing that's a lot of dust for a spell. But so it's for that. and then I have, like I said, I will probably never use the cat deck for an adult. It's for children. I have different decks that I use on clients that I take, that I'm willing to take to events because they may get lost or damaged, that I'm willing to take on an airplane because they may be lost forever, that type of thing. And then also, please, 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 if you are doing this, have a deck for you.
Yes.
That is just yours. I made the horrible mistake of, when I started doing a lot of events, my personal deck got mixed into my event decks, and it went to an event, and then I started using it for events, and I didn't have a deck of my own. And so I went, and when I got the Heaven and Earth Tarot, I got the Tarot of Dreams, again by Chiro. If you couldn't tell, I have a crush. I love him a lot.
He is great.
Way more than I probably should. I love him. If he ever came to my birthday party, I would freak out. That'd be like a Justin Bieber thing for me. In case anyone knows him and wants him to drop in on me. So I now have a deck that's just for me. And because that's important. Like, how do you feel about that, Nikki? Like, not just having tons of decks, but like each one has a different meaning.
Absolutely. So yes, I have decks that I take to events, and those are strictly for the events. And then I have a whole host of decks here. And then I also, I think I'm a type A personality, so I just can't just do one deck. So when I do a reading for myself, or if I do a one-on-one reading, like a big 30-minute or an hour reading for somebody, it's intentional, it's thought out, and it's themed. So like, I've got the Mermaid Tarot, I've got Mermaid Oracles, I've got nautical at the end blessings, and I can pull out runes, and I'll pull out charms. So there's yes, my daily readings, it takes me an hour every morning because I'm using anywhere between 1 to 4 to 5 decks or modalities.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I liked the theme thing. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. And I'm okay if it's mermaids. I really am.
No, I've got fairies, we've got angels, we've got energy, we've got crystals, we've got it all. I've got wizards.
I like that. All right, so I am going to bop up, now that we're talking about this and I'm getting excited for myself. This is Nikki's email. And so if you want a reading with her, she does in-person, virtual, she does events. And so send her an email. She is super friendly, and she gets back in a very timely manner, which, for those of you who know me, that's super important. And I gauge someone's I love you and respect you on that scale often.
Good to know. No, I'm just.
Oh yeah, there are very, and I get that things happen, but there are very few people that I'm like, okay, you can drop the ball 7 times and it takes me 2 months to contact you and it's okay. I think I have 3 people in my life that I'll do that for. And I know why. It's because they're disabled. It's because there was a death in the family. It's, you know, it's not just it's nothing. It's they have stuff that they're working on, of course.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to see Nikki, absolutely. And we will actually both be at the Radisson Blu this weekend doing readings, and I'll be doing energy healings December 4th and 5th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you want to check us out there and just swing by and say hi, absolutely do. Again, we're both super friendly.
Yes, very friendly.
And we try very hard not to upset people. So if you want to see the I call it the Illumination Tarot. I do not think that's actually what it's called, but because she has a light that comes up from the bottom to illuminate the scene on the transparent cards. So if you want to see that, come swing by this weekend and say hi to Nikki and everything like that. And then I will pop up my website because I'm going to be doing the Psychic Circle December 20th. And so you get to come, you get to ask 3 questions and I'll answer them. And then on the last round of questions, you get to flex your own psychic abilities. And so that is really happy and exciting for people to do because they like to do it in a safe space, kind of flex their own intuition a little bit. And then the screen didn't go wide enough. I did a cute arm movement. Damn. But yeah, so check it out. Enjoy. Nikki, thank you so much for doing this. Are there any final comments that you have?
No, just thank you, and thank everybody who's here with us too. It's been so much fun. I've enjoyed it, and thank you, Lily, for all that you do.
Wonderful. And Susie has bopped on and said, hello all, great discussion. Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. We love it. We love the comments. We love the discussions, and reach out. Yeah. We're happy to have sessions or answer questions after. You can also find this on Facebook and YouTube. It will be posted at both. Otherwise, have a great day. Okay. Try to work with your tarot, and don't forget to be a spiritual badass. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, everybody.